very special day for both countries as we have, with this outline agreement, Hoofdlijn and Accord, made it so that what seemed impossible is now possible. We went through the ringers. It was, as was mentioned by several speakers before me, a difficult negotiation. But however, when things seem its most bleak, back in September of 2023, our negotiation teams thought we were surely going to face serious challenges. A new solution based on collaboration could be discussed. And that is key. We are within this kingdom. We must be able, especially as our small island states, Curacao and St. Martin, within this financial collaboration, find ways to be there for each other. We could easily, as St. Martin has said, it's only 3,000 of our people, so it's a Curacao problem. But Curacao and St. Martin are tied at the hip. The central bank of Curacao and St. Martin is our bank. And so therefore, these policy holders on Curacao and St. Martin was our challenge and our responsibility to ensure that we could collaborate to fix. As such, I want to add my thank yous to those that have been echoed by my colleague Prime Minister and the Ministers of Finance of both Curacao and St. Martin, to all, and I mean all of the persons who have contributed to coming to this solution, both the preliminary solutions, which were then thrown out, as well as this final solution, which is now being signed off or has been signed off by us all, the governments of Curacao and St. Martin, as well as the Central Bank of Curacao and St. Martin, by the respective signatories. I believe the people who are best served here are the 30,000 policyholders, for which no one could go to bed at night thinking that they would be negatively impacted. So with this solution, there is now a more secure future for them and for their families and for their nabestaanden, as we would say. A sustainable solution that bears the minimum of risk and has solutions or other, let's say, options moving forward in the future. I look forward, as my Minister of Finance mentioned, even though I won't be continuing this function as Prime Minister for much longer, I am happy that the solution is finalized while we are still here, so that it is not further stagnated. I would like to take this time to charge the Central Bank of Curacao and St. Martin to keep your eye on the ball. This is a challenge to not just you, but also to the Ministers of Finance, to the governments of both Curacao and St. Martin, to ensure that such a debacle that has occurred for us to be at this position today never occurs again to the detriment of any of our policyholders or others who have put their trust in us, ensuring that we look out for their best interests. Keep your eye on the ball, ensure good governance moving forward, and proper security to secure all the people of St. Martin. I want to say thank you. Thank you for the collaboration. As small island developing states, we will continue to need each other, and I look forward to, in the future, well, from another function, but still being able to keep my eye on what is happening with the collaboration within the kingdom, and more specifically within the Central Bank of Curacao and St. Martin. A blessed good afternoon to one and all. A special thank you, to, of course, all the hardworking persons, both civil servants within the Ministry of Finance and General Affairs, as well as the consultants that put in many hours, as well as those from Curacao, Central Bank, and ENIA to ensure that this solution could be had. Thank you, thank you, thank you on behalf of all of the people of St. Martin.
My last question to Simar.
Okay.
The valuation of Mullet Bay is very, very important in this court ruling. And the people of St. Martin, I can assume, is very worried about the valuation also. But maybe you can clear me out. There has been a discussion in St. Martin about to whom should Mullet Bay belong to? To the St. Martin people, to Ansari, or to Enya? I would like to hear your opinion on that.
So I'm not aware of that particular question per se, but I know what the discussion in St. Martin is, that anything to do with Mullet Bay has to involve St. Martin. That is our position, and that has been the position of the Council of Ministers with the central bank and with the ENIA management. So any decision going forward with Mother Bay in terms of sales and so forth, we have to be involved.
That means it's like my colleague said, the resolution still depends a bit on the decision whether you are going to allow to sell St. Martin or not. Is that correct or am I incorrect?
So our position is
Recuperating the solvency of the company.
no. So our position is we are continuing to sell, but the selling cannot just happen without St. Martin being involved. So,
Did you mention that in the commission?
yes.
Okay. Now,
Hoy é grande dia para o país. Para nosso país não, corrigir isso aqui. É que aqui está algo monumental para a estabilidade do nosso setor financeiro, nossa comunidade e nossa economia. Danke a Deus, nós passa trobe, todo de Angola. Querido pueblo de Kosovo, ahora después de casi un año de negociación intenso de primer tanda, Holanda cerca, el gobierno de Kosovo se mata y llega a un acuerdo de rescate para resolución del problema financiero de ENIA. En negociación para llegar a un acuerdo, el rescate de ENIA no estaba tan fácil. De primera etapa, os 3 partidos aqui presentes estavam negociando com a Holanda para chegar a uma fiança bilionária para o resgate de ENIA. Mas esse aí, lastimamente, não há uma fruta devido às condições que estava amarrando a finança aí. O conselho é negativo de CFTI, mas primariamente para o motivo que o Kosovo não quer pegar para 30 anos largo de uma situação que quase não pode ser inversão na sua economia, combinação, enseñanza e infraestrutura. Isso naturalmente não estava aceitável para o governo. Sin embargo, mirando que a situação de ENIA é um caso trágico, que se vai falir, é que lo afetar 30.000 assegurados, de qual 25.000 na Kosovo, nós como governo não podemos quedar cinta man cruzar. E 25.000 pensionados na EI estão a depender de NAN, da forma quase metade da população de Kosovo. E essa aqui da 13 que o nosso ministério havia parte de solução, aunque, me se põe ênfase, o governo não estava da parte do problema. É possível o impacto social de bancarrota, lota devastador para os pensionados, empregados no setor financeiro e também nos países, em sua totalidade, para uma ENIA, uma instituição sumamente relevante para o bom funcionamento do sistema financeiro. Para essa comparação, durante o Covid, nós havia quase 1.000 milhões de Holanda para passar a temporada aí, sendo que o resgate de ENIA lo custa ao país quase 2 vezes mais tanto que a fiança durante o Covid. Agora, rende para ponta na mesa, que é acordo a que significava a nossa comunidade. Me lo contestar a pergunta com outra pergunta. O que passa se o governo não intervenir no problema de ENIA? ENIA tem um déficit bilionário de sua obrigação para que seu assegurado de seguro de vida e pensionado. O cliente aqui tem no local com direito a pensão. Quizás não tem pida pensão outra caminho, banda de sei, e AOV. Quizás somente AOV. Se o governo não ajuda para eliminar o déficit de ENIA durante o ano venidero, o direito do cliente de ENIA, o Ministério pode contar com 80%. Isso aqui estava inaceitável para sobre o hope de cliente, de qual 25.000 na Kosovo, provavelmente o que pode assim chamar almoedigans. É montante na entrada boa de qual ainda ser considerado pobre na Kosovo. Kiko lo dava até consequência na dia aqui. Na primeiro lugar, essa aqui causa distúrbio econômico, com efeito social sem precedente para todo o renda do país aqui. E para esse motivo, o governo finalmente torna a ser caído. Na de dois lugares, evento assim ele conduz a imigração massal para a Holanda, e sabe que é o único caminho que não pode para o cuidado do Estado. lo que lo tiene hopi repercusión para capacidad de nuestra sociedad. E em terceiro lugar, a economia de Kosovo está sendo malamente afetada para a entrada de cidadãos no lugar drasticamente, com todo efeito sobre a consumo e venda, com todo efeito negativo para a economia de Kosovo, começando com desemprego. Mais desemprego não significa menos no consumo, menos produção e venda. E assim, nós locais de círculo vicioso econômico. De caso aqui, o governo lo pede roupa entrada na imposto e entrada, mas também de obey e belasting e ganagem, todo desemprego e hecho o negócio não losse na porta. Pois, o governo mestre a join Banco Central para trazer um plano de resgate para evitar distúrbio social, desconfiança no sistema financeiro, problema político, imigração, caída da economia com mais desemprego como consequência. Además, o efeito na negócio, o governo vai para roupa entrada de belasting. Essa que está pondo que o déficit pressupostário de Kosovo está subir e roupa cos não pode financiar mais fora de cara do governo. Essa que nosso turno lo conduz a outro problema, não? Porque ora me vai fiar para cobrir o déficit em presupuesto, mientras o débito do país está mais alto, acaba toda a temporada de Covid e cada débito também com mais interesse. Además, o governo vai cortar, mas nós temos que conhecer, toma medida de seu gasto para seu presupuesto para lançar back. E desarrollo aqui, lo não está deseável nem sustentável. Sobre a entrada na loba hopi, pues lo mestre vai cortar substancialmente o presupuesto do país todo ano, lo que quase para o que não pode mais. Menos inversão do governo também tem impacto negativo sobre crescimento econômico. Pois, queda para na banda não está para uma opção para o governo todo de interesse macroeconômico. Se ele cai, sociedade completo lo sentir seguro. Pois, para contestar a pergunta, que é acordo aqui, para edificar para nossa comunidade, me está terminar indicando que a intervenção aqui, o governo a evitar debacle social, econômico e político sem precedente para o país. Algo que nunca nós não experienciamos nem em Antillas holandês. Agora, nós podemos estar sumamente satisfeitos com ter acordo para o resgate de energia mesa, com a cota, o sustento e aprovação do Banco Central, governo de Kosovo e Sint Maarten, CFT, governo de Holanda e também uma maioria ampla de nos estados. Finalmente, me quero agradecer todo o conselheiro do Banco Central, esse do governo de Sint Maarten e, em particular, o conselheiro do governo de Kosovo, senhor Karel Monte, senhor Miguel Jackson e senhor Raymond Van Eyten, que conjuntamente atrás incansavelmente durante ano largo vive speed em nível muito alto para mais pronto possível nos trazer claridade e alívio para o povo de Kosovo em geral. É pensionado e também empregado de ENIA em particular. Danke por você esforço que finalmente nos pode dominar a crise do setor financeiro aqui no tempo e de boa coordenação com o outro.
For all of life's twists, turns, and defining moments, RBC is a blend for all of you. SXM, your social and health insurance. SXM, your social and health insurances.
Are you SZV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SZV is cardless. Request your My SZV account today and enter the virtual office of SZV. Go to szv.sx and sign up now.
SZV, yeah, your social and health insurances.
But I will definitely forward this information to the Ministry of Romy for response. In the budget meeting, they're talking the guilders and cents in terms of revenues for government and why having building permits approved on time ensures the income for government. The civil works permit, in terms of the technicality of when those are issued, I know that the ministry has put in place a more rigorous process so that they have pre-approved architects, so it doesn't take as long for the review of the actual building permits. And civil works depends on what type of work they are. So since I don't have the technical knowledge of these things, I don't want to go into it. But how that process rolls is something that I would allow the Minister of Rami via the ministry to give an answer to, and I'll pass it on to them.
Could we please get the information about the amount that is attached to it? Because each civil works permit costs 300 guilders. So that
In what sense? Please clarify.
there is a 6 weeks that people can object to the civil works permit being issued, and 150 has to be paid up front and 150 after. So it's for each civil works permit, it would be 300 guilders. So the total, if there's 300 building permits, logically there would be something like 300 civil works permits.
I can't say that that's a logical deduction because some projects are larger than others. Some take a longer time. So you get a permit now, you don't start. I know people who have gotten their permits that never started to build. So that could be part of the difference in terms of the civil works permit vis-a-vis the building permit. I really don't have the technical information on that, but hopefully those who are listening from the Ministry of Rami to your question understand it in its entirety, and if not, I will have them revert back to you in writing if it's unclear.
Prime Minister, earlier on you said that the incoming government will have quite some legislations to at least update. Can you elaborate a bit more on that? Is there any legislation in particular that you would love to at least see the incoming government taken under its wings almost immediately?
I would have to wait until the transition document is finalized to see what and where the legislation is, because some of it has already been initiated, some of it is at the Council of Advice, has to come back to the Council of Ministers to then go to the governor to send on to Parliament for handling. So different legislation pieces are different processes. Some are LB-HUM, so national decrees with general measures which do not need to go to Parliament, and others might be shorter, possibly. So depending on what it is, some are at legal affairs, some are within the ministries themselves still being worked on. Some still need the start notizie to be finalized, which is the general statement by the ministry as to what they want to achieve with a particular piece of legislation. But we have a lot of legislations, as I'm sure you would remember our Minister of Justice saying, already in place, but not being enacted. Sometimes you have a legislation
that needs further elucidation in a national decree or in a national decree with measures. And that is what is really taking the time. I think ensuring that we can get the people in place to assist with these legislations is a priority also. We started that process. We've gone out there. The Carriera Burst was successful, but will it yield the needed human resources to finish the work? I'm not sure. But definitely any legislation that, as I mentioned before, finalizes the process to improve the workings of government itself. All of those that are attached to the reform measures within tax reform, there are several that are in different stages of execution. I'm sure the Minister of Finance in his presentation in Parliament mentioned some of them. And we would want to see those tax reforms because we've been under a very archaic system. And of course, the digitalization of government. Some of the key back there, while you can instantly buy hardware, software, and start training people, our legislation also has to reflect that digital sharing of information is allowed. So those are, for me, priorities. The ones that affect the civil service, our service to the public, and of course, the reform measures at whichever stage they are. I would have personally wanted to spend more time on, of course, environmental issues, climate issues, ensuring that all of these points that we're working on are finished, but these are the areas that need continuous push. And so I'm hoping that the support or the passion that is within the ministry for these projects and for these legislations will be picked up by the incoming government. But they will hopefully be fully broken down within the transition document, which is being finalized, which I hope I will see next week.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah. Your social health insurances. For all of life's twists, turns, and defining moments, RBC is a blend for all of you.
So if you heads the six conference.
Yes, sir. I'm already speaking with the ambassador.
Prime Minister Honorable Gaston Brown bullish on the prospects for dignitaries attending next month's 4th SIDS conference, staying at Royalton Chic Antigua Resort and Spa. Former Halcyon Hotel has undergone a metamorphosis into a gleaming 5-star property. The head of government witnessed firsthand the final preparations being made to welcome guests.
This transformation of what we know to be the Rex Halcyon into the Royalton Chic is a most impressive transformation. The property is extremely gorgeous with a number of amenities that you'll find in any 5- or 6-star resort globally. I think it is now one of the finest properties within the Caribbean region and beyond.
The amenities include over-the-water bungalows and 7 restaurants. Prime Minister Brown welcomes this development, noting it aligns with a strategic focus for transforming the country's tourism product into the high end of the market.
This is signifying the transformation of our product, the diversification of tourism product as we seek to position Antigua and Barbuda tourism product at the high end of the spectrum so that we could have increased yields, so that these properties will be more profitable, that the government taxes will increase, the amount that is spent, for example, on ABST and other taxes would increase, and at the same time that the staff can enjoy a premium compared to other properties.
He also praises the Stephen Hunter-led Sunwing Group for its work on the property. Royalton Resorts Regional Commercial Director for the West Indies, Craig Marshall, provides an update on the employment being created by this hotel.
We're roughly at about 350 Antiguans employed. We need to get that up to closer to the 500 mark by the time we enter the season. So we obviously have our soft opening in April and May, but by June, particularly with the Cricket World Cup and the amount of rooms that we've already sold, we'll be up into the higher occupancies, which is great to see for the summer.
He also welcomes strong bookings on the horizon.
We're already up to 64% now for the summer, which is amazing. So we anticipate that we're going to be into the 80s, 90% mark coming into the summer.
The overall investment so far is in the region of $75 million.
This year's edition of the Sea Trade Global Summit brought together hundreds of cruise stakeholders to discuss the state, trends and future of the industry. From negotiations with cruise experts, this country's tourism minister confirms there were several commendations for Antigua's cruise tourism industry. Minister Henry Charles Fernandez says one of these accolades was in the area of customer service.
What is most important to me at this point in time, or to us I should say who are here, is the fact that Antigua is amongst the top 5 in the Caribbean region in terms of customer service. And that speaks volumes for us. That means that we're on the right track.
The minister asserts this augurs well for the destination and its subsequent promotional efforts. The nation's taxi drivers were also heralded for their professionalism.
We also got tremendous feedback from the FCCA, which is the Florida Caribbean Cruise Association, who've always been very critical. And one of the major sore points has always been our taxi operators. I'm pleased to say now, Antigua is right up there. We're amongst the top 2.
The minister has promised to meet with members of the St. John's Taxi Association upon his return to offer his personal congratulations. For ABS News, I'm Ursula Charles Jr.